Hey everybody, I'm Sierra.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome back to another episode of The Unsolved Couple, where every week, Ben and I recap one of your original gateway drugs into true crime.
Unsolved mysteries.
Okay, we're live.
All right. That's good.
That is good.
Every time we're about to start, I did that before we started last episode. And
anyone who can guess what I just did,
Diet Coke,
you get a gold star.
How's the weather?
We're not going to get started on the weather.
I hate weather talk.
We live in Arizona and it's miserable here.
But I just hate weather talk. I think it is the most boring conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just rather not talk to someone than talk about the weather.
Oh.
I think it should be. You got me going. What is wrong with you?
Ben is going to go on a tangent, not about the weather, but about talking about the weather.
Not even that, just talking in general, talking to people in general.
I like talking to people.
Well, I do too, but by a conversation with someone, if I'm going to have a conversation with a new person or whatever, I want it to actually be a meaningful conversation. I want to be able to ask someone how they're doing and have a true answer. If you're not doing good, if I ask you, that means I actually want to know.
Yeah, fair. I'm the same way. If you are not doing good, I would like to know about it.
I think it should be socially acceptable that if you don't want to have a conversation, you should be able to just turn around and walk away. Even if they're in the middle of a sentence. If you are done with that conversation, you're bored with it,
there are people probably listening to this right now that relate 100%. I could not ever imagine being in that situation.
Well, if someone did that to me, maybe I would be caught off guard, but then I would look internally and be like, well,
But if it was socially acceptable, then you wouldn't be caught off guard. You'd be like, oh, I guess the person
I think it should be socially
has
acceptable.
Exited the chat and they're done.
Yeah. So I think it should be.
And it maybe had nothing to do with me, or maybe it had everything to do with me, but they didn't want to be mean.
Yeah.
So they just left.
And I'm okay with it. Be mean to me. Doesn't bother me. Go ahead.
Don't be mean to me. It'll keep me up at night. I'm always stressed that everyone is mad at me and that I've always missed. I remember one time when we were first couple years of marriage, it might have even been first year. I got a call or something, and I worked where when I was home. And this is before cell phones and emails were smartphones in your pocket. So back in the old days, kids, when you left work, you were done. Nobody could contact you because if they called your house phone, there was a chance that you just didn't pick up. And they couldn't say whether you were screening your calls or not. So people left you alone. But I got a call or an email or something that my boss wanted to meet with me first thing in the morning.
That is just terrible for Sierra.
And I started, and here's the thing, guys. I've never been in trouble or done anything ever intentionally wrong or against the rules when it comes to any protocol in my life. I was the
Sierra
teacher's pet.
She doesn't like to break the rules.
I don't like to break the rules. I'm very, as far as when it comes to stuff like this is what's expected of me, great. And if that level of expectation is just not into me, I won't work there or be a part of that. So that's kind of my middle ground with that. And I remember Ben just saying to me, with the utmost audacity, just forget about it. You'll learn, what?
Who cares?
Who cares?
You'll figure it out.
You didn't do it. This can't, it is time to move on.
You didn't do anything. You'll figure out what they wanted to have a conversation.
I did not sleep.
When you get there.
It turns out later in life that I was diagnosed with anxiety and ADHD. So you telling me that you want to talk to me about something later, please don't ever tell me that. Tell me what you need to know, or at least give me an idea of what it's about, because then I'm fine. And the meeting ended up being, I was offered to be moved up into management or something. Yeah. So it ended up being totally fine. In fact,
I said that it was going to be
I
fine.
understand that you said that. And I knew that it likely was something good. But I'm also the person that plays back every conversation. I read every movement in a room. I assume that people are always that I've hurt someone's feelings or they're mad at me. That's how I live my life, concerned about everybody else's feelings and emotions at all times. And it can be exhausting. See, and then there's my husband.
I've literally had a boss call me and leave a voicemail saying, hey, can you call us back? And my thought process is, I'm not on duty.
Yeah.
And so I've literally left it till I show up to work the next day.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you need? Because now I'm getting paid and you can talk to me about it.
And there's the, like one of the hundreds of differences between, and I don't know what that is like. I wouldn't be able to function.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. All right. So today we are recapping season 3, episode 2 of Unsolved Mysteries. We have 4 stories. And I think this is going to be kind of, my stories are not, I've got 2 lost loves, you guys.
Golly.
And they're oddly similar.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I've got to figure out. These were likely probably pulled from 2 different segments and put together because I see why they match. But to me, that makes TV boring when these stories are so much the same.
I think it's just boring for us because we've covered so many in such a short time frame.
I actually found a reader board today when I was looking for updates on one of these stories. And the entire reader board was who was over the Lost Love episode segments on Unsolved Mysteries. And there's all of these people that are like, they're awkward, they're uncomfortable. I feel like I'm looking at something I shouldn't be when we're watching the follow-ups and stuff like that. Like X, Y, or Z people were over it to the point where somebody started a reader board about it. And there's a lot more people than I expected on there. But our job is to recap episode by episode. So that's what we're doing.
That's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
Even if you all hate it, that's what we're going to do.
No one hates it. Everyone loves us. Speaking of loving us.
Oh, dear.
You can now support the show in 2 different ways, Ben.
All right. I'm here. I'm going to support it.
Okay. Ben is going to support it. There is 2 links below in the show notes. There's a support the show through our company that we put our podcast out through that then puts it out to the rest of the world. You can sign up for that and it's got a reader board and stuff like that. When you do that, you can put in your name, your favorite 90s or 2000s memory, or your favorite episode of Unsolved Mysteries, and we will read it live here on the podcast, and it will forever be in the ether of podcasting world. The other thing you can do is support us through Buy Me a Coffee. It is created solely for small creators, independent artists, and different things like that. It's not a monthly subscription. You can literally, I checked, you can do as little as $1. And so if you would like to do that, throw a couple bucks here and there we're not going to go buy coffee with it. We're actually going to use it to promote the show and upgrade equipment. But same thing, leave us your name, the information, and we're going to read that here on the podcast for everybody. Any questions, Ben, about how that works?
Negative.
Okay. All right. So our first lost love story is from a girl named Jackie Dragon.
Such a sweet last name.
A sweet last name. And bless this woman's heart. Her last name was Dragon. And she was a red curly haired girl.
It was spelled dragon. Did she pronounce it that way?
Yeah.
Or was it like dragoon?
I thought I heard dragon. I'd lean into that.
Oh,
100%. So she was born in 1964 and grew up in a middle-class home near San Francisco. She knew her entire childhood that she had been adopted, but she had no idea who her birth parents were. Curiously, she had an unusual fascination with films and movies about women in prison. No comment. She recalls having a sense of security when watching them.
I'm worried. I'm worried that you felt a sense of security watching people in prison.
We're going to find out later maybe why that was the case.
I don't know. I'm still worried.
In 1986, okay, no, so sorry, I skipped ahead in my notes. Like most children, Jackie could get in to be a little mischievous from time to time, especially when left home alone, as we all could. And at the age of 12, she went into her parents' bedroom and looked through her father's closet. As she was doing so, a box of important documents opened up and she discovered all of her adoption paperwork. Over the next few years, she would search on and off for her birth family. The biggest discovery that she learned was in 1986 that she had actually not been born in a hospital. Instead, she had been born inside the walls of a prison. Whoa.
That is a big find.
I guess I didn't even think about the fact that incarcerated women can be pregnant when they come in and have to give birth at times.
Yep.
That is a whole, extra level of craziness. Because what do you do as the state?
I don't know. I think technically.
Do you automatically lose custody of that child?
I think so, but don't quote me on that.
And maybe it's different from state to state or even from prison to prison, because we're going to find out that this prison had a nursery. And I think I heard in other documentaries that is maybe something offered at a few places. I don't know. I didn't have time to do research on incarcerated women giving birth in prison, but
it does then raise questions. Should children be raised in a prison?
Yeah, I mean, you could have that conversation too, 100%.
Yeah, and I'm not having that conversation. I'm just saying.
And I think a lot of it depends. How long is the mom incarcerated for? Is this a prison sentence that she's in there for 4 months after the baby's born?
I would imagine your sentence is determined. I'm throwing out guesses.
Yeah.
Here. Let's say you're doing a life. You're doing a life sentence. Probably the state takes it and that. But if you are doing a year, then maybe the foster care takes it. And I know even right now, if a parent loses custody of a child, a lot of times the first thing they try to do is put it with an immediate family member. Mm-hmm. Maybe. I don't know. I'm throwing guesses out here. I've never actually dived. I guess
to me, it was like a light bulb moment. It was like, whoa, that's how biology works. That can't be avoided.
Yeah.
So, Marge Ryder had been incarcerated at the time of her birth. She had been born at the Dwight Reformatory for Women in Chicago. Marge had been serving a 1-year sentence for her part in an armed robbery.
So her mother's name is Marge?
Yeah. Okay. 10 months later, she made up one of the most difficult decisions in her life to put up Jackie for adoption. So she raised Jackie for 10 months while behind bars.
Yeah.
She decided that Jackie was entitled to a better life, a stable home with 2 loving parents. And at this stage in her life, she just would not be able to provide her any of those. And indeed, Jackie's adoptive parents provided a stable home for her. However, she was curious about her birth mother, Marge. She wondered if she was ever able to clean up her act or if ended up getting into more trouble. More than 9 years of searching, Jackie finally learned Marge's whereabouts. She feared, as I think most people would, about possible rejection, but decided to overcome her fears and contact her anyways. July 26, 1990, she spoke with her for the first time. Fortunately, Marge was overjoyed to hear from Jackie. However, one of the first things she said is, "I never thought any of you girls would call me." She then told her she had actually given up 2 other daughters for adoption as well. Jackie and Marge spent the next 2 hours on the phone. Marge told her about her own troubled childhood, dropping out of high school, falling in love with the wrong crowd, and ending up pregnant at 17 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is rough. She admits that she made mistakes very early on in her life. However, in the latter part of her life, she managed to rise above her past. She was happily married and living in Illinois. Inspired by Jackie's open-hearted love and understanding, she would like to find her other 2 daughters that she gave up for adoption more than 25 years ago. Marge's first daughter, Lauren May, was 18 months old when, once again, Marge was taken to prison.
I think it was
It might have been the same one, yeah.
Because I thought she said she was pregnant with.
Yes, she was Jackie. 8 months pregnant with her. Yeah.
With Jackie, yep. Right?
So she left Marge. No. 18 months when Marge went to prison. She was left. So the first daughter, Laura May, was left in the care of the grandmother, Marge's mother. At the time, Marge was already 8 months pregnant with Jackie and claims that once she was in prison, her grandmother attempted to get legal custody of Laura May. However, shortly after the sentence began, a lawyer came in to visit her, convincing documents which would allow her to keep Laura May. However, there is belief that it was actually giving legal adoption over to the grandmother and taking away all of her parental rights. Fortunately, Marge was not in a position to read through all these legal documents and understand what she was signing. So whether intended or not, she ended up signing custody full over to the grandmother. And the courts at that point stepped in because Marge's grandmother was too old to raise a child. So actually, this wasn't even Marge's mother. This was her grandmother.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm just there's a lot of information in this with these babies being moved around and stuff. Yeah. So it sounds like her grandmother, I don't know where the mother was raising her grandchildren.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or her great-grandchildren. Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
They weren't super clear on
that. Makes more sense why the state got involved, because she must have been significantly older to be raising your great-grandchildren.
Probably.
Yeah. So Laura May was ultimately taken by Cook County Welfare Department and became a ward of the state. Marge never saw her again. After Jackie was born, she cared for her in the prison's nursery. However, 10 months later, she gave in to outside pressure to put her up for adoption. A few weeks later, she completed her sentence and was released. She was never in trouble with the law again. However, she did give birth to a third daughter, Dawn, whom she also gave up for adoption. Marge later gave birth to a fourth daughter, Tracy. At that point, she finally felt comfortable raising a child and keeping it for herself. She often thought of what would happen if her other daughters came looking for her. She wondered how she would explain giving them up for adoption. However, she realizes that she was trying to give them better chances and setting them up for a life with loving families. September 20th, 1990, Marge flew to California to meet up with Jackie for the first time in more than 25 years. Jackie had dozens of questions about her family history. For her, the reunion meant the end of the search for her mother, and the beginning of the search now for her sister. She hopes that her sisters know that they were adopted and wonders where they've come from. Marge would like to get to know them and let them know that she loves them, and she'd finally like to get this all completed again. And that's where it leaves us. So we've got a mother and daughter connected, and there are 2 other sisters.
2 other daughters, sisters out there.
Out there.
All right. Update.
Solved. The night of the broadcast, Laura May and Dawn Marie were both located thanks to viewers' tips. Laura May was now married, living in Mississippi, and Dawn, whose adopted name was Susan, owns her own business in Santa Barbara, California. 3 months after the broadcast, Lauren and Susan traveled to Jackie's home in Glendale, California, where they were all reunited. And there you go.
Family back together.
Yep. Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. Another lost love. Another thing that Facebook could have done in about 5 minutes. But here we go. All right. Are we ready to move on to the next?
Go for it, my love.
Story?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This lady, she's a hero. All right. This lady's awesome. We're going to hear about C.W. Roddy. All right. New Year's Eve. 1989, or I guess New Year's Day of 1990, East Palo Alto, California. We get told gunshots ring out. And 60-year-old C.W. Roddy is shot.
That's terrible.
In the stomach.
In the stomach?
Yes. She was living at the time with her 23-year-old son, Darnell. And we get then told that East Palo Alto, California at the time is not doing well.
It's not a great neighborhood.
No. CW had been living in that neighborhood for years.
Yeah.
Like 20-something years. She was retired service technician or service provider for the phone company. She's retired. She's living there. She's been living there. And all of a sudden, she's watching her neighborhood go down the drain. All of a sudden, there's just drug deals going on. They make it out to be like it's a drive-through. People are just lined up on the streets.
It's the McDonald's.
It's a McDonald's drive.
For marijuana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For drugs and that. And CW she's fed up with it. All right.
I asked you this. Has anyone ever offered you drugs in your life?
Me?
Yeah.
No. I don't think so.
Would you have any clue how to go get drugs? Back, like, this is when, in the 80s or 90s?
I don't think so.
No, I just have watched movies or TV shows where people like go to seedy alleys and like flash their headlights and then someone pops up at their window and there's this exchange. And I'm like, I don't know if that's really how things went down. But yeah, unlike the DARE program that convinced us that at any moment a grown man in a trench coat, not named Robert Stacks, was going to come up and like try to hook us on drugs, and that the first time it might even be free drugs because that's how drug dealers get you roped in.
They get you hooked. I don't know.
That never happened to me.
If I was looking for drugs, I would first go around and look for shoes on the telephone.
Start knocking on doors. Yeah, Excuse me, I noticed the shoes. Is that the code word?
Where is the drugs?
Where are the drugs?
Who's dealing it?
Yeah. Okay. Continue. I just think, the whole perception this was like just a drive up to the garage and
So this is happening across the street from CW to the point where people are parking on her like yard to go get drugs.
That's when my line was my line that would be drawn. You want to be the drug dealer? Fine.
She goes out and starts confronting these kids, teenagers, young people, and is like, hey, listen, I don't care what you guys are doing in your own home. But she pretty much says, you started bringing it to my...
Yeah, now we have a problem.
We got a problem.
Yeah.
She's telling them, get off my yard, knock it off. And they are threatening her.
They're jerks about it.
Yeah, they're just being rude. To the point, they say in February 1988, she's walking down the street and some guy comes up and threatens her. To the point, they threaten to blow her house up. And she turns to him and says, what, are you going to make sure I'm in the house when you do it? Like, this lady has no fear.
Spunky. Yeah.
And he yells something else at her. And there is a police officer parked across the street. She walks up to him, says, hey, did you hear what he just said to me? And he goes, no, I didn't. She tells him what he said. He makes the arrest on this kid, but she says within minutes, hours, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's out of jail. Nothing happens. So then in October 1989, she does the same thing. She goes across the street, confronts these people. They punch her in the face.
People, everyone just needs to
comment. A 60-year-old woman.
I know. And this is going to sound, the people that I have known in my life that might be into nefarious things, and there's been a handful of them, usually there's this weird level of respect when it comes to like the elderly people in the community. Like, that's the Mima across the street. She's off limits. Nobody mess with her. No. You respect her property. You respect her space. And to me, this just seems like such completely unnecessary. These kids were obviously not thinking rational. And maybe that's giving them way too much credit. But I'm just surprised that no one stepped in and was like, we don't cross that line.
She says, and one of them picks up a board and threatens her with it. She turns around and just walks away, goes into her house, calls the police. He gets arrested, but is out within hours.
Yeah.
So nothing happens. Then December 1989, she gets into another altercation. She doesn't say exactly what happens, but her neighbor, Chris Thomas, sees what's happening. He goes out to help his neighbor, and they cut him in the face.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
these people are a menace.
Yeah. So police come. He is treated. They get arrested.
Yeah.
Again, we don't really know much what happens, but he was just coming to help CW out.
Well, yeah, you see a 60-year-old woman getting harassed and bullied by the teenagers next door. You're going to step in.
So that was in December. So they said it was pretty quiet after that. Nothing else happened until New Year's Eve. She tells us the story that she, past midnight, they interviewed the chief of police, and he says, yeah, New Year's Eve, people like to celebrate New Year's by shooting their guns in the air.
Oh, okay.
This is a terrible idea.
People do not do that.
Even though Joe Biden told you to do it, don't do it. I'm just saying, don't do it. It's a bad idea.
For anyone new, it is real. Joe Biden, former president of the United States of America, suggested to shoot a shotgun, fire 2 blasts into the air if you were worried about a home intruder. Yeah. Look it up on YouTube. It's hilarious.
It's great. Great YouTube video. But anyways.
But please do not do that.
So he tells us this is pretty common. She hears it and thinks kids are just being they're celebrating. And then all of a sudden, their house just starts getting lit up by bullets. Their house.
Do you remember the fear of drive-by shootings? I remember hearing about this in the 90s and like it being something that it was making the news. And I remember it being a pivotal part of my childhood, like being concerned about drive-by shootings and how terrifying that would be.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I don't know. So this happens to her. They said her house and car were shot 35 times. 35 times. Her son, he hits the floor. It's blast in their house, and she gets shot in the stomach. He calls instantly, but she lives to tell the tale. Thank goodness.
Yeah. So
they're looking for the shooters. The FBI get involved, and they come out. They found casings for multiple different guns. And
I'm sure these were all registered weapons too.
And even the neighbor who helped her, Chris Thomas, he came forth. He didn't get a look at him, but he saw it happening. He said he saw multiple people standing outside of her house, just shooting her house up. And that. So.
Did someone burn that house down? Where's the arsonist from last episode? That's the house he needed to burn down.
So anyways, this actually did help the neighborhood. A bunch of moms came together and started this program. They ended up kicking them out of the park in the neighborhood. The moms were there.
Dude, do not mess with a group of moms.
So it actually started.
It started
something.
Yeah, that was the line that was crossed for the community to be like, this can't keep happening.
Yeah. Robert Stacks tells us that this started helping the neighborhood, but they're still looking for the shooters of this lady. So that's where it leaves us. Are you ready for your update?
Update.
Never found.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Not surprised. So I did a lot of research in the fact of this lady was very well known. She lived in that neighborhood. She passed away November 11th, 2012.
Holy cow.
At 83 years old.
Yeah.
Never left her neighborhood. Turns out it wasn't too long after her shooting that Molotov cocktails were thrown into her backyard.
Oh my goodness.
Then there was rumor that the gang in the neighborhood had put out a $10,000 hit on her head.
Those kids need to have a timeout.
But because of all of that, that caused such huge backlash in the neighborhood that these moms came together, the neighborhood came together, and they started pushing these people out. It also, with this segment on that, caused national attention. The city filed for like a $5 million grant was given it to beef up law enforcement, start a task force. FBI started pushing these guys out to the point where she did an interview years later in 2000 and pretty much said they haven't really seen, maybe this is still happening, but they've run underground. She pretty much single-handedly helped clean up her neighborhood. I don't know what East Palo Alto, California is like now.
You didn't look up any stats on it today? Yeah.
No, but it sounded like just her actions alone helped clean up her neighborhood, at least for, a little while. Hopefully it's doing way better to this day. But I mean, this lady, she would not be scared. Holy smokes. She's pretty awesome. She deserves a huge shout out for standing up to people. Literally took a bullet to say,
that's insane.
Not in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So, but unfortunately, the people that shot her were never caught.
Yeah. When it comes to a group shooting and things like that, I can't imagine that it's going to be easy to find.
Yeah.
So East Palo Alto's crime status has been significantly decreasing in at least homicides. Within 2023, they reported 0 murders in that county.
Wow.
So overall, the crime rate still remains a little bit higher than the national average.
Yeah, but if you look, crime in the 90s went down.
Well, and it says that the crime rates are lower there than in the state's average. So, yeah, there you go.
Either way, this lady is a hero.
Yeah.
And she's pretty awesome.
Yeah, at one point it was known as the murder capital of the United States. And by 2023, there was 0 reported homicides. I mean, that is huge. So there you go. And it says ongoing efforts have continued through usually community improvement and stuff. So it still seems like it's a lot on the citizens that they've worked really hard to improve their community.
It sounds like this lady clearly started that movement, and sounds like that movement has continued on. Because we know, like, police can do as much as they can, but for something like that, it clearly, the citizens are the ones that stepped up. And
yeah, because here's the thing. If they're trying to sell drugs and they can't sell them there anymore, or it's becoming more and more difficult to do so, they will find somewhere else to do it.
I mean, I will say it is a little frustrating to hear that it was so well known. It was so rampant right in the middle of the day and on the street. The police should have been out there.
100%.
But I don't know the situation, all that. So I'm not, but I'm just saying.
Okay. Well.
Awesome. Sad, terrible that she got shot, but sad that they were never caught, but this lady's pretty awesome.
So, okay, guys, right now we have a free sticker giveaway for any 5-star rating and review. Right now, I think we're at close to 50-ish reviews on Apple Podcast. That literally is one of the best ways that you can support the show. It costs you 0. And actually, on top of that, you're going to kind of come out ahead because I'm going to mail you this priceless sticker. Who knows what it's going to be worth someday?
Hold on.
So that's like the best investment. Cost you $0, and it could be worth millions someday.
It could be your retirement.
It could be. No one is saying that it's not.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. Because on top of a sticker, Ben and I write a little thank you card and I corner Ben and he signs them as well. But if you want specifically one handwritten from Ben, put that in your review and I'll make sure it happens. I can't promise how it will look or what it will say, but it can be from him. So Apple 5-star rating and review. Spotify, you can, I think, leave a 5-star rating. You can comment on episodes. We're on YouTube playlist, and you can comment and review on those. All of those things help a ton moving our podcast forward. So please, if you haven't already, go pause this. It takes literally 2 minutes to leave a review wherever you stream your podcast. On top of that, make sure you're following Ben and I on Social media, we have a Facebook discussion group. It's titled Unsolved Couple Facebook Discussion Group. And we're on TikTok and on Instagram as Unsolved Couple Pod. And you can email us at unsolvedcouplepod@gmail.com. All right. Here we go. Lost love. Again. You ready for it? This is the story of the Heck family. Heck. Heck family. Cool last name. Dragon and Heck. That's...
Oh my heck, that is crazy.
The 6 Heck children of Iowa were separated by adoption as children, but through the force of will, 5 of them managed to reunite in adulthood. In the summer of 1944, the Heck family was living in Council Bluffs, Iowa. 10-year-old Delbert Jr. was the, quote, man of the house. His father worked as a road construction worker, as a result was often away from home and literally did nothing to support the family. He sounds like a loser. Delbert recalls at times life was very, very hard. They didn't have money for food or groceries. However, the children didn't see this as what we would call hard times.
This is all
because this was their reality and this was their norm. And so they thought they were doing just fine and that this is how everybody lived. He said they had a well, so they always had running water. And like that was kind of their marker that they were doing good. And that for the most part, him and his siblings got along really well. So Delbert Jr. and his mother often went to dramatic measures to provide the family with food. On several occasions, he would sweep kernels of grain out of boxcars into a burlap bag and take it down to the feed store to sell it.
It's wild.
Yeah. It was at times the only way the family could afford to eat. In August, what were you going to say?
It is amazing to me, like what people have had to endure to survive. And it makes you think twice about.
Yeah. How many times have we opened up, all of us listening to this, a refrigerator full of food and complained because there's, quote, nothing to eat?
Yeah. I know. I mean, I'm always looking for a snack late at night.
I know.
And I get irritated because I don't have whatever snack I want.
That when you've decided at that moment, there might be other things in there.
Even though there's lots of snacks in there. But I love snacks.
I know you. We all know.
I hear these stories and I just think, man, like, golly, I got anything I think is hard. There's just a lot of people in the world, even today, that it would do a lot.
What were we watching the other day where the Russian lady was like, oh, we were watching the cruise ship documentary. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
There was a lady.
That one was wild.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that, but there was a lady there from, like, at one point, communist Russia. And she works on the cruise ships. And she's like, for the most part, these cruise ships are all full of Americans. And they're stuck on this cruise ship. They're literally lost at, they're not lost at sea. They're stuck, dead in the water is what it's called.
Engine blew.
Engine blew.
With no electricity.
And she's like, within, obviously hours, things start to kind of spiral. But she makes an observation that literally for the first time, these people weren't sure what their next meal was going to be, or like just the
small luxuries of life.
The small luxuries of life. And she she just observed that it was interesting because for her, that was normal for a lot of her childhood. So to get to see these people for the first time experiencing it and not know how to handle it, they were hoarding stuff instead. Do not rub your feet up against me, you weirdo, Benjamin. Sorry about that, guys. Ugh, Ben's rubbing his dogs on me. I've got bare feet on. I always wear socks, and it's too hot for my socks on. So Ben, all right, let's all take a moment and take a deep breath. All right. Anyways, I thought it was interesting to have someone make that observation that was a normal part of her life. And so hoarding and all of this stuff and how quickly people turned on each other probably wouldn't happen with people that have experienced that before. Instead, the mindset is much like, let's take care of each other. Let's work together. So it makes you realize how fortunate a lot of us are to not have had to experience that. But by August 1944, the family hits on the radar of the local welfare and children-like services. You know, they make a visit to the house. And this woman that comes to the house is literally going through, there's no food in the cupboards. There is no clothing in any of the furniture, dresser drawers, nothing. They literally were wearing rags. The only thing that was a mattress in the living room that all 6 children slept on.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Wild.
So the worker explains to the mother that it appears that she's unable to care for all these children properly. And that it's likely that if things didn't change, that they were going to have to take the children. So I don't know what happened, but 90 days later, so I don't know if she's given an opportunity or what have you not. 90 days later, the state of Iowa comes in and takes the children away. Florence, one of the children, recalls that the social worker lied to them and said they were going to go see a movie. And they had never seen a movie before in the theater. So
I will say, that's just terrible.
I agree.
Like,
let's not tell that.
Thing.
And if you were going to say that, then how hard would it have you to actually just take them to a movie? Yeah.
But still, you should at least let the kids know you're taking them from their parents.
So they happily got into this is like the free candy or help me find my lost puppy. Like they literally, the kids put themselves happily into this person's car, waved to their mother, not knowing that they're not going to see her again.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Florence, though, however, notices as they're pulling away that their mother is crying on the porch. And that the further and further away they drove, that the movie was never going to be seen. No. The 6 children, and this is a quote from Robert Stax, the 6 children were scattered across the countryside like wind-blown seeds.
It's a good quote.
I wrote that down just for you.
Quote.
Yeah.
Good Robert Stack quote.
3 of them were immediately adopted, while 3 languished in orphanages. The words he uses sometimes. Florence was a 7-year-old. She was sent to the Christian Children's Home. She recalls crying profusely from the moment she got there. She cried for her mother and her siblings because she missed them. They were basically her entire life. Obviously, the little that they had, the only thing they had was their family.
Was each other.
And a horrible human being who, okay, this is just my personal thing. This is the Children's Christian Home. So these are all people claiming to be Christians, which is like number 1 rule is love thy neighbor as thyself. However, this woman is known as the dorm mother. Who applies for this job if you are going to treat children like garbage? You are a deplorable human being.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to be here, my guy. Go find another job. However, this woman gets so annoyed that this girl is crying at night that she drags her out of the dorm room, shoves her into a closet, and tells her she can stay there until she's done crying.
She says she slept there for a while.
A while.
Not just one night.
No. She slept in there, she said, for a long time while she was in the orphanage.
And so it makes you, was she really better off?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, obviously, it's not like the state intended to take her and then to shove her in there, but.
Yeah, but also hire better people. I mean, that's a whole nother soapbox I can get on for the other day. But here's the thing. Don't work with children if crying children annoy you. These children have all been traumatized.
These kids, they need extra. They're going to be a lot of extra work.
Ripped from their homes.
Yeah. They've had a lot of terrible things.
Yeah. You have the name dorm mother, and we should have called you the witch. Because that's like you were Hansel and Gretel witch, like throwing people into like the cauldron. And like you are not a good person. So I don't know who she is, but yeah, she traumatized this person and it's terrible. Jim, who was 9, and Dilbert Jr. were placed in a different orphanage, the Annie Wilkenmeyer home in Davenport, Iowa. Unfortunately, Delbert Jr. was basically farmed out to foster parents, and which, again, we've covered on other things, was a thing for a while that people who owned farms would offer to be foster parents because it was free child labor.
But they interviewed him. He pretty much said they were just looking for farm hands.
Yeah. However, within a few weeks, he was able to go back to the orphanage. I'm going to guess he had already seen so much in his life. He probably was just like, no, this is not going to work for me. So we get back. The mother of the 6 children actually ends up filing for divorce, becomes remarried, and in 1946, Ben, are you good? You had a squeaky nose there for a second.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Returns to the Christian Children's Home to get her children back. Unfortunately, by that point, only Florence was still there. Jim and Dilbert remained in the other orphanage until 1952, when the state sent them back to the mother. Sadly, she would never see her other 3 children again, as she died in 1980. So she divorces, gets remarried. Seems like she gets her life back enough to get her children, gets her daughter back, locates the other 2, and is reunited with 3 of her 6 children, but unfortunately then passes away in 1980. So now it's just 3 kids left that know each other, at least, right?
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to the Heck family, 1-year-old Sharon had been placed in the home of another couple from Jamaica, Iowa. Sorry, Jamaica, Iowa. I was like, they did not adopt somebody to Jamaica.
Yeah.
No, Jamaica, Iowa. She had been renamed. So that's this is where things start to kind of get complicated, is that the 3 other children are adopted out to to each to a different family. And all 3 of them, their names are changed.
They get different names.
Yeah. So everyone at the end of the day is still unknown where the 3-year-old Tommy was adopted and if he had a new name. It's unknown. We fast forward to Doris. Okay, she was one of the 3 kids adopted to a different family.
Yeah.
She's married and moves to Oregon. In 1967, she starts her search for her siblings. By 1970, her and Sally, another one of the kids that had been adopted to a family, are able to reunite and become very close.
The 2 girls that got adopted out find each other.
Yeah, so you've got the 3 older kids who ended up getting back with their mother.
And 2 girls and a boy are adopted out.
Yes. And then the 2 girls have connected.
Yep.
So the 2 girls, between the 2 of them, are able to kind of combine their knowledge and documentation about what they have about their childhood. And they come up with the city of origin where they were from, which was Council Bluffs. So immediately Doris gets on the phone, calls Council Bluff. She, by the end of the day, is able to talk to an aunt, 2 of her brothers, and her sister. So now we've connected those ones.
So she found those 3 siblings.
The 3 siblings. The siblings were spread out through 4 states: Iowa, Oregon, Texas, and Arkansas. So not super close to each other either. No. April 24th, 45 years after the family had been removed from their home, they were able to reunite with a celebration. They even had a cake. But there was one person missing: Tommy.
The youngest boy.
3-year-old boy. Because Iowa at the time still had sealed adoption records, the family has not been able to find much information about Tommy. They show us a picture of him at about 4 years old because he was adopted through the Christian's Home Orphanage in Council Bluff, Iowa, around the same age. So he was at the orphanage for about a year. Most likely he was adopted by a Midwest family, and he may or may not know if he was adopted. His biggest distinction was a physical characteristic. He had a double earlobe on his right ear.
Yeah, and they show us the pictures of it.
Yep. And that's kind of where it leaves us. So you even see the reuniting of the other siblings, X, Y, or Z. So we've got 5 siblings looking for Tommy. You ready for your update?
Update.
Okay. Solved, but not right away. As a result, I think of the rebroadcasting, the show received hundreds of tips from viewers about the case. One was from a lady who claimed to be Tommy's adoptive cousin. She recognized the baby photograph and realized that it was likely the young boy her aunt and uncle had adopted while she was young. She'd stayed at their house for the summer, and that was the summer that they had adopted a little boy. She contacted the show and left a message saying that Tommy was a teacher in Wisconsin. However, the family ended up having 700 leads to follow up on, and they'd kind of discounted that tip as like one of the less likely options. Don't know why, but it made it to the bottom of the pile. But this lady also doesn't tell her cousin Tommy because he had never mentioned to her that it seems like they'd grown up together about having any desire to find his biological family. And that is something that people either choose or not choose to do.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to like push that on him if he wasn't interested. Then the advice of another relative, she sends her cousin Tommy a letter and marks it confidential. March 27th, 1993, the letter explains that his biological siblings were looking for him. He actually is overjoyed to find this out. She was able to give him his sister's phone number, and the two were reunited by phone. Within 24 hours, he had spoken to all of his siblings and learned about his adoption story. He actually ended up only growing up 65 miles away from Council Bluff. So he lived really close to where he had originally been born. He'd known he was adopted the whole time and that he had biological siblings, but the thought about searching for them was really overwhelming because he didn't even know at the time where to start at.
Fair.
Yeah. A few weeks later, on Sunday, Easter Sunday, April 11th, 1993, so 3 years after the original broadcast, Tommy and his siblings were reunited at a relative's home in Council Bluff. They spent 4 days together, talking about their lives, visiting the graves of their mother and grandmother, and got a family portrait taken. So, there you go.
All right.
Yeah. So, I actually looked up the sister that was from Oregon. She has a Facebook. It's not very active, but it looks like she lives like outside the Portland area in one of the smaller little areas. Has a couple of grandbabies. A lot of the siblings have passed away, obviously, in the last several years. So it seems like happy endings all around.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, before you get started, I want to give a shout out to our few new locations we've had download our podcast. So if you're one of these people, welcome. We're excited to have you. We've got Dayton, Ohio. I've never been to Ohio. Have you?
Yes.
Oh.
I have been to Ohio.
Oh, okay. What'd you do there?
I lived in Indiana, so I was close. But
okay.
I passed through and visited some sites in Ohio.
Okay. Anaheim, California. Have you ever been there?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Been to Disneyland.
Oh, that's right. Disneyland.
Yeah.
We love Disneyland. If Disneyland ever wants to sponsor this podcast,
good luck.
We would be happy to come there with our family and vlog the whole experience. So just slide in my DMs if you're ready for that Disneyland. And then a little bit more local, Peoria, Arizona. So there we go. That is all I have for you. Ben has our last story of the day. What do you got for us?
All right. I got kind of the story of the Bermuda Triangle, but not really.
I know. It was a roller coaster of emotions for me. I got very excited, and then I saw airplanes, and I got very unexcited.
Yeah. Well, you saw history, and you were like, I'm out.
Aviation history is just not really into that.
Not your thing.
But you enjoy aviation stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, perfect.
You're like, perfect.
Well, here's the thing. You know what? I took the Lost Loves. So
those ones are rough.
They are rough. All right.
So I got a story, December 5th, 1945. Yep. Okay. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We got this is 5 Navy Avenger torpedo bombers with 14 men making the crew. This is known as Flight 19. They take off on a training mission. 5 hours later, they've all disappeared. Technically, they say this was the start of the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle.
Interesting.
Didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
So we learn about the Bermuda Triangle, that it's this triangle that goes from Miami to Bermuda to Puerto Rico, that area there.
Just a big open part of the ocean.
Yeah, like a 400,000 square mile.
It's a lot of ocean.
Yep. It's a lot. And since then, it has supposedly claimed over 100 ships and planes. They've all disappeared in that area and taken the lives of,
if you guys could see how far back Ben is rolling his eyes into his skull right now.
Well, I am not disputing that this is all true.
Okay.
It is. These are all documented. And taken 1,000 lives. That is a lot.
That's a lot of lives.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Awful. All right. But it is Flight 19 that kind of has started this, legend. All right. We get told that aviation investigator by the name of John Mayer.
John Mayer? Did he go on to have a very terrible pop career?
He thinks that he's kind of figured out the mystery of Flight 19, and that if he can kind of prove it, it kind of not necessarily disproves that the Bermuda Triangle, but hey, maybe the Bermuda Triangle is not.
He's just fascinated about how 5 bombers disappear.
Yep.
And fair. Great question.
So we kind of learn about this Flight 19. And I'll be honest, I don't know much about this. So I'm taking this all from what Unsolved Mysteries tells us, because there's a lot out there on this whole thing and a lot written about it. But we learned that Charles Taylor was the commander of the Flight 19. He was kind of the main pilot overseeing it, because it was a training mission.
My daughter and I were watching that episode together when he walked on the TV screen.
And you were like, hey.
Hello, Captain.
Hello, pilot.
Yeah, he was like in his pilot onesie, which I don't know why, because normally a guy in a onesie's not really going to be my thing. But there's something about that pilot and this hat, and he had his aviators on. That guy's jaw could slice cheddar cheese. He was fierce. He took his glasses off, and both me and my daughter said, he looks better with his glasses on. But whoever that actor was, he was hot.
You want me to find
He was
him for
80s peak. Like, this was like, it reminded me of Tom Cruise in that one movie. What's it called? Where he's the pilot.
Top Gun?
Yes, Top Gun. It gave all the Top Gun feels.
It's great. Both movies are great.
Anyway, sorry.
All right. So he's the commanding pilot. He's going to oversee this thing. He had over 2,500 hours of flight time. So
very experienced. Yeah.
Yes. Very experienced pilot. But they're doing the briefing for this thing. And they say, he'd asked the guy, it's like, hey, listen, man, I don't want to go on this. I'm not feeling well. I'm just not feeling right. Can you just assign somebody else to go on it? And his commander pretty much said, no, you are the only one I got. So you're flying this mission. So he doesn't get to. So at 2:10, they took off. What did I say? It was 5. So it was 4 other pilots. They were training pilots, but they technically even still had a bunch of hours. All 4 of these pilots, they weren't brand new.
Yeah.
They had a lot of hours for student pilots. So what they were supposed to do was fly 120 nautical miles southeast, do their bomb run, their training bomb run, then fly 73 miles northwest, and then fly 120 miles southwest back to Fort Lauderdale. So make a triangle.
Yep.
But east of Florida. That way.
Got it.
Okay. So they head out, they complete the bomb run, and they say about 3:10. This is all from radio communication. Taylor relays that his compass is malfunctioned. It's not working.
Which happens a lot in the Bermuda Triangle.
Very true. So he gets lost. He was supposed to be the guy in the back, kind of watching the pilots, watching them do the run, which he did. He watched them do their run. Now he's kind of taking command and saying, this is the way we're going. We're flying this way. We're going to go this way. So for some reason, Taylor thought that they were over the Florida Keys, which doesn't make any sense because the Florida Keys are west of Florida. And if they flew 120 miles southeast, why would he think?
Yeah.
But we hear from this aviation investigator, John Mayer, that, hey, he thinks he mistook the Florida Keys from a different set of islands that are actually east of Florida.
Yeah, there's a set of islands over there that are uninhabited. There are lots of pigs on them. I remember from like world expansion and exploration, there's a handful of islands to the east of Florida that people used a lot to stop for ships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because Taylor thought they were in one place, he had them fly east.
Oh, no.
So because what he was thinking,
he thought that they'd flown too far west.
And that they were over the Florida Keys. Mm-hmm. They needed to fly east to hit Florida. Yeah. Well, if they weren't actually over the Keys and they were over this island that was already east of Florida, they were flying east into the vast ocean.
Yeah.
So he commands these pilots to fly east. They fly east.
Was none of their compasses working?
I don't know. Like I said, they didn't tell us, and
was it cloudy where they could see the sun?
It did say they kind of ran into some storms.
Okay.
So, he says, let's fly east. They thought, we'll do this. We're going to hit Florida. Mayer doesn't think. He thinks they flew pretty far into the ocean. Mm-hmm. The last communication that we actually have is if one of the pilots say, if we just head west, we get home. Like pretty much said, he's pretty much telling them, we need to go the other way. We're not where you think we are.
Yeah.
So I think Mayer says he thinks they turned west and flew west for 49 minutes. By this time, it's 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. They're losing daylight and these guys are running out of fuel.
Yeah,
so
I would be at a 10. And that's the thing. I think these people are obviously trained to handle much more stressful situations than I am, but I have a feeling that at some point panic starts to also set in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which doesn't help you think clearly.
So Mayer, his investigation and what he thinks they flew west and then they didn't find anything. They lost a plane and then they turned around and flew east again.
Sugar. Yeah.
And eventually they all were lost. We don't know exactly their last moments. Obviously, if we did, we know where they were, but we don't. So by 8 o'clock that night, all of them were down. So obviously the Navy sends out a rescue. They searched for 5 days. Nothing was found. He does.
Yeah, he mentioned, a few lights.
Some ships had said they'd spotted flares, but they thought it was actually just lights from different aircrafts or from different things. But he doesn't think we're getting a lot of what he thinks happened.
He's putting different reports together and seeing if any of these timelines match up that maybe back then they wouldn't have had the ability to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. To help him narrow his search down.
So he has narrowed down that he thinks one of the planes is 30 miles off the coast of Florida near Cape Canaveral.
Crazy that plane was 30 miles.
Which
from
is
land.
Really like not long
I would say
flight.
on flight, you're looking at several minutes.
These things move at 200-300 miles an hour. So, they're not far.
5 more minutes and they probably would have seen land.
Yeah. So he thinks that's where one of the first planes went down. Then where the rest of them are, he thinks they turned around and went east.
They're farther out east of the ocean.
But they're out from off the coast of Florida.
Okay.
Right? So he's been, I guess, since the early 80s, he's been putting this all together, trying to figure out, he wants to find these planes and recover them. And
he wants to see, if he can find anything.
It's a mystery, right? Where did these guys go down? Well, it catches a break in 1986. The Challenger explodes.
On the heels of a terrible American disaster.
Terrible. That explodes.
People were watching that live in classrooms.
It is awful.
Yeah.
Anyways, during the recovery effort of that, where they were picking up all the debris and that, they found a plane wreck 400 feet down off the pretty much where
literally almost like X marks the spot.
Where John thinks this first plane went down.
The fact that he was able to narrow it down to this area and then it ends up a plane ended up being found there shows how skilled this guy is at his job.
Yeah. So he gets the ability to get some funds and he does a dive at that plane wreck. And we see the footage of it. And he's like, well, we need to find out if this is a torpedo bomber, one of the Avenger bombers. And then if it's one of the 5 from Flight 19. They show us video. He says, listen, there's some very distinct things from this plane. One is the bomb bay. And you see in the footage, this plane is upside down in the water. And it clearly has
a bomb bay.
Bay. Right. The other thing is the wheels come up and
people don't know what bomb bay is underneath the plane. It's like a little flippity flap.
A flippity flap that drops the bombs. Yeah. And this was a torpedo bomber. So that drops the torpedo into the water. And So the other is the wheels retracted up and it actually had like a cutout for the wheel in the wing, which is very distinct. Yeah. It's actually when my son and I went to the Air and Space Museum a couple weeks ago.
We have a huge Air and Space Museum here in Tucson.
We saw there was a plane like this where it.
Oh, really?
The landing gear goes up and it fits into the actual wing of the airplane. Yeah. It is. It's very cool. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, I saw that a couple of weeks ago. And in the video, sure enough, there is the overwheel well is what they call it, where the landing gear goes up. And then the other distinct feature of this plane is the turret behind the pilot. And even though it's upside down, you can kind of see it. They tried to extract a piece of the wing to just try to see if they could get a serial number to match it to one of the 5 bombers. Yeah. So, but they weren't able to do that. They did, but they could not find a serial number. And now John is just trying to get more money. He wants to take the whole thing out and look at it and find out if he really did find one of these bombers from Flight 19. Yep. That's where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us. Is this a mystery? Is this one of them? What is the Bermuda Triangle? Does it make all these planes go haywire? And, is this the first mystery of the Bermuda Triangle? Okay, update. Right. Update. Never been found. So I did find out that August 13th, 1991, they did pull that wreckage. It was not one of them. Shut
up. It wasn't?
No.
Whose plane was it?
So I did more research. We lost a lot of planes in training and that.
In the Bermuda Triangle?
Multiple planes went down during training in that area, especially during World War II. We were flying a lot of planes. Okay. And so we lost. I have multiple conflicting reports, but 20 to 30 planes were lost just in that area in a short time frame. It could be more. So John's changed what he actually thinks a couple of them went down in Florida. Supposedly there was some wreckage found in some swamplands and stuff like that. But we've, to this day, no confirmed findings from any of the planes from Flight 19.
Bomber planes. They're not small. Disappear. And nothing's been found. That's crazy.
But you got to think, it's the ocean.
It's the Bermuda Triangle.
It's the ocean. And the fact of you could look and be 100 feet away.
I know. And the ocean is terrifying.
Go that direction.
I know.
You will never find it. You have to know exactly where to look.
I understand. The ocean terrifies me.
Yeah. So I will say, I don't know a lot about the Bermuda Triangle. I haven't done a lot of reading, but everything I have, we listened to some podcast on it with the kids one time on the way back.
Yeah, we were on a road trip.
It does seem there's some weird things that happen, but there also is lots of flights and stuff that go through there with no problem. So I don't know, but it is clearly some weird stuff.
Something seems to be happening there because I've heard of several stories, and it might have been that podcast, that people report their compasses not working. And the problem is when you are in a vast blue landscape where everything looks the same and you can't see the moon or the stars or the sun, that's your only other sense of direction.
Yeah, that would be terrifying in the fact of you're over this and it looks all the same in every direction. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that thing to tell you which way to go.
And one way is going to get you to land, and one way is going to get you, it's going to take you a heck of a lot longer. Yeah. If you have the ability, like you got to be a major airplane to get that far.
Thankfully, now we have much better navigations, all that stuff. Literally, all those guys had to go off of was their compass.
Yeah.
Telling them which direction. If that stops working, you are in trouble.
Yeah.
Big time. Mm-hmm. And you literally have to pick a direction and stick to it because you can't keep going back and forth.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
And if you stick to the wrong direction, you are tough out of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's scary.
Yeah. The Bermuda Triangle terrifies me. Like, I don't know what's there. I don't know why it interferes with magnets, and because really that's what a compass is, right? I don't know. I've read, there's some insane things that go all the way to it being some sort of way to time travel or to like go into a different like dimension, like Stranger Things upside down sort of stuff. But an abnormal amount of things have gone haywire in that area. So I would just prefer not to stay. If I'm ever flying somewhere, let's go around about that.
Do you think that time travel portals that exist?
Yes.
I think everyone knew what your answer was going to be.
Okay, I was actually thinking about this last night. Listen, that's our recap. You guys can move on if you want to, but I was actually thinking about this last night. I am an optimistic person who loves all things mysterious, magical, beautiful, glitter, all of this, right? I want rainbows and sunshine and cupcakes and sprinkles, and I want everyone to be happy.
Yeah.
And I want every dream to come true. That's how I try to live my life and try to interact with people with that mindset. So when, like you were asking me the other day about these things, Bigfoots, aliens, X, Y, or Z, fairies, unicorns, time travel, going to a different dimension, all of that stuff. I understand logically that it's likely untrue. However, there is a part of me that loves the unknown and the mystery and the possibility that something spectacular could happen. And so when I hear these stories that people share or these theories, I listen to them and it just flames that fuel that maybe something amazing could happen. And I hold on to that hope. And I've chosen to keep that flame very safe from all of the adult mindsets of the world and the math and the science and the X, Y, or Z. Because as humans, we have figured out a lot, but we have not figured out everything. And I think there are things in this world that we don't know how to explain, or that maybe only a handful of people have encountered. I hope someday to be one of those people that encounter something amazing, as long as it doesn't put me in danger. But that's kind of my mindset about it, is that, yeah, I know it's kind of fun and silly and that it's probably not true, but I am going to keep my little flame going. And I like that little flame to be there. So yes, I do believe in time travel. I've actually been down several rabbit holes where people have claimed to have experience of some sort of with a time traveler, things like that. And I find those stories fascinating.
Yeah, there's a small town south of us here. There's what's a story that goes around that there's some portal down there.
Really? We should go explore it.
I've told you about this.
Where's this portal? We need to find this place.
I think if we all knew where the portal was, people would go and look at it.
Okay.
And see it. But here's the thing.
You've been around that town a lot.
I've been around a lot. I have not seen everything, clearly, because I haven't found a portal yet. So, well, if I do, I'll let you know.
I'll be the first to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that a belief of the Bermuda Triangle, that it also is a portal of some sort? Interesting.
Yeah. And there's you remember the Malaysia flight that went down where just kind of winked out?
Nope. I have no idea which one.
That's a fascinating, because that's not even that long ago in aviation history that a airline full of people literally was just on the map and then gone. Yeah. I need to do that again. That's a better one. Gone. And of course.
In the Bermuda Triangle?
No, this one wasn't. I think it was over in
Malaysia.
Malaysia, yeah. So they left Malaysia. So that makes sense, right? I can't remember if they were going north or west, but
they said they were going north, but they were really going south.
Yeah. Anyways, and long story short, that's been one of the things. But yeah, the Bermuda Triangle, there is some beliefs and theories that this either has some sort of ability to transport you to a different place, is also supposedly maybe a high area where people get taken by UFOs, all kinds of stuff that if someone wanted to abduct American or technology or the Earth's technology, that they could just disappear like that. And they're over the ocean and no one's ever the assumption is it's under the ocean somewhere. So we're never going to find them.
What's your thoughts on what the Bermuda Triangle really is?
I have a feeling that there's probably something messing with the magnetic poles there.
Just how the Earth is.
Yeah, just some sort of seismic activity under the Earth. And we know so little about deep under the ocean and how that affects. Even right now, I was telling you in Antarctica, there is weird sounds. They called them ghostly sounds. And I tried to see if I could find a recording of it coming out from deep under the ice caps in Antarctica. And scientists cannot figure out any, as of yet, because this is new, kind of happening now, any scientific reason why there should be this kind of noise wave coming from this area.
It just means that they haven't, it's just a new mystery that they haven't solved.
That they haven't solved
but it can
yet.
be solved.
Yeah, exactly. And so is there something happening under the ocean that's causing things? Yeah, possibly. Is there a time portal or a portal there that switches people to a different dimension? That's nuts. But I mean, I've also listened to there's a physicist on TikTok who talks about the science behind time travel and wormholes and all of this stuff, how they could be possible. We don't have the technology, obviously, to be able to do these things, but how they could theoretically be possible. And listening to him talk about this is insane. And you're like, okay, well, if this could be recreated, if the technology was there, is there a possibility that somehow that's happening in the earth? I don't know. But what are your thoughts on the Bermuda Triangle?
Like I said, I don't have a lot of knowledge on it. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard for me to even form an opinion on it.
Yeah.
I've read very little. This is actually the first time I've heard this story.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot actually out there on it.
Oh, a ton.
I could have read a ton. And I read up a little bit on it, but not a ton. I am in the same boat, most likely, but this is from I don't like making assumptions on stuff I don't have a huge knowledge. Clearly, weird stuff happens there. Mm-hmm. I think it's I'm in the same boat you are. I think there's just some type of thing that scientists just haven't solved. That something goes on there, that some type of field or however, just in that area. Because
none of these people that have experienced that have lived to tell the tale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are people that do fly through there or sail through there that have no problem.
Yeah.
So maybe there's just something at certain times that causes some type of shift or something that causes things to go haywire. And if you're not prepared for that, or you don't have the technology to get through it, whatever. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'll count that as our question for the day, how we feel about the Bermuda Triangle, since I thought that's actually ended up being a perfect segue into our question. So that's our episode, guys. Thank you so much for joining us once again. And Ben and I will be back here again next week where we recap another episode of
Unsolved Mysteries.
Bye.